Alright guys, today I want to tell you my story about how I sold everything and moved to the Philippines. If you've been following the channel, you know I was forced into taking an early retirement. You know, I went from making $80,000 a year to less than half of that when I took this, when I took my retirement. You know, I didn't know what I was going to do. My ankle was shot, my knees were shot. What was I going to do? I mean, all I knew was what I've been doing for the past, almost 20 years. What was I going to do? I had friends who married Filipinos, and I was talking to them, and they said, yeah, check out the Philippines. And you know what? I didn't even know where the Philippines was. I read about the Philippines and, the history books and things like that, but as far as geographically, I didn't know where it was at. So you know what, I started doing research on not only the Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, just Southeast Asia countries here, Vietnam. What is there, what's the cost to live there, can I live there? But yeah, I mean, I kind of, what drew me to the Philippines was the fact that they speak English. I didn't want to have to go to another country, learn another language, and do that whole entire, trying to basically speak to the locals and understand what was going on. Philippines speak English, it's taught here in school. So I said, you know what, yeah, let me check out the Philippines. 2012, I came over for 2 weeks. Went back to the States and I said, you know what, I kind of like the Philippines, but it was a vacation. To me, it was a vacation. You don't really know what it's like to live here. So I said, you know what, let me go back again. So the end of, was it 2000? No, beginning of 2013, I came back. I spent about 4 months here. I got an apartment, lived here. Got to get around, got to know different things. I said, okay, I think I kind of like this place. So the end of 2013, in 2014, I came back again, and I stayed for 6 months. 6 months, I lived here. I didn't do traveling, I didn't do the touristy things. I lived here, I did shopping here, I interacted with the locals here. I got to know the culture a little bit better. So I said, okay. I had said at this point in time, I was with my wife, to-be, look. I said, listen, what do you want to do? Do you want to come back to the States? You want me to go back? Do you want me to sell everything, come, and then return back to the Philippines? And she said, no, she goes, I'd like to go to the States. So you know what, you can't blame somebody for wanting to come to the States, to see what the States are about. I said, okay, so what we'll do is, I'll go back to the States, I'll petition you for a K1 visa, fiance visa. So we did all that. She came back to the States, and she liked the States. She got a job. Matter of fact, I even went out and I got a job working in a factory. It was an okay job. It was decent. Wasn't making near as much as what I was my previous job, but you know what, I took what I could take. So about a year into Luisa and I being in the States, then we got of course we got married on the K1. Her father got really sick, and I knew it was really weighing on her. And one day I just asked her, I said, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back to the Philippines? You want to stay here? And she said no. She said, my heart, she said, you know what, I love America. She said, it's a beautiful country. She goes, but my heart is in the Philippines. So then I knew, I said, all right, it's time to sell. It's time to sell things, and it's time to move. Now you can understand, I had years of accumulating things, you name it. Furniture, bedroom furniture, stoves, refrigerators, washers, dryers, lawnmowers, tools. I had 3 Harleys, I had a car, we had the house. you know, you have a lot of things that you just accumulate throughout the years. Now, I know guys go through divorces and lose things through divorces, and they come to the Philippines. That wasn't the situation. So, you know what, here's the thing. When I first started selling things, what I did, and you kind of have to do this, you have to kind of, how would you say this? Separate a memory behind something. You can look at something and say, oh yeah, I remember when I got this. Oh, I remember when I worked so hard and got this. Oh, I remember this, you know. You have to take those memories that you have and look at something and say, you know what, it's an object. The memory will always be up here. It's always going to be up here. You're never going to lose that. But that's the first thing I did. I started looking at things as not as a memory, but as just an object. Because like I said, the memory was up here. So, the Harleys. Like I said, I had 3 Harleys. I had a 2002 Sportster, I had a 2008 Ultra Classic, and I had a 1951 Hummer completely restored. And you know what, here's the thing with Harleys and other things. What you think it's worth might not be what somebody's going to pay you for it. I knew what I had in my Harleys, and you know what, if I say, all right, my Harley, my 51, it was worth, you know, $12,000. Well, what are they selling for? Doesn't matter what I think it's worth and what I put into it. What's it selling for? So, the 2002 Ultra, let's start with that. That was paid for. And I knew what they were going for, and I knew I would take a little loss on that. I didn't have a lot of money into that. Sold that very simple. Put it on Chopper Exchange, online to Chopper Exchange. Guy came to my house and basically sold me his story on how he really has been wanting a Harley, can't afford it, but has enough money, you know, and we worked out a deal, and he got a good bike. The Ultra, I owed some money on that. So I took it, I went to a dealer that sold, it wasn't a Harley dealer, it was another dealer that sold custom bikes and things. Worked out a good deal with him, sold it, paid off the loan, plus had money in my pocket. Now I got the 51. I knew what I wanted, I knew what they were going for, so I waited. A guy from South Carolina contacted me. He said, listen, he goes, I'm retired, I've been collecting motorbikes, I like your bike, I want to come up and check it out. And I said, no problem. And he came out and he gave me what I wanted for it. So now this 51 is now down in the Carolinas, sitting in a museum with, I think he said he has 30 other bikes there. So that's how I got rid of the Harleys. When it came to like household products, household items, you know, TVs, couches, my tools, lawnmowers, I put them on Craigslist. And I took photos and photos, put them on Craigslist, and what I personally did, I met people out in public. It was for my safety and for their safety, you know, make them feel comfortable, you know, dealing with somebody they don't know. So that's what I did. I did Craigslist. I sold a lot of stuff on Craigslist. Matter of fact, I had one guy that I ran into from that was buying things off of Craigslist. He was, I forget where he was, Honduras. I think what he was doing was he lived up in Pennsylvania, and then 6 months out of the year went down to Honduras, or one of them, South America, correct me if I'm wrong, countries 6 months out of the year, and he worked with a mission. And what he did was he would buy things up, put them in a cargo box down on the Delaware River, and then when the box was full, he would have it shipped down there. So I ran into this guy, and this guy was awesome. He was buying lawnmowers, he was buying weed whackers, he was buying snow. Matter of fact, he even bought a snow blower to ship down there. I said, dude, it doesn't snow. He goes, that's all right. Take it down there. They can work on it. And that's what it's about, you know, them learning a trade on how to work on things. So he even bought a snow blower. And then it got to the point where he told me, he said, listen, when it gets closer for you to move, just let me know. He goes, and I'll come back. And I said, all right. So he came back one day, and it got to the point where I was selling a lot of stuff. And in the garage I had just piles and piles of just stuff like tools and, you know, nails and just a mixed match of everything. Plumbing supplies, carpenter supply, everything was in like piles. And he came in, he would point to the pile, he said, how much? And I would tell him, give me 50. All right, how much? Give me. This guy was awesome. But that's what I was doing. I was kind of doing a bundle, packing things in a bundle and selling it that way. So yeah, that guy took a lot of stuff. Things like my refrigerator, washer and dryer, I hooked up with somebody and I said, listen, I'm not moving, because we already had a date to move. I said, we're not moving until this specific date. If you can wait till then, you can have it. And they did, they agreed upon it. And matter of fact, they came, they got it the day that we, you know, told them they would get it. And they came and they got it that way. Another thing I did, like I had clothes, you know, I had winter clothes, boots, jackets, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, like I said, years and years of accumulating things. You know, I lived in a four-season state, Pennsylvania. So what I did with a lot of that was, if it was good, it was in good condition, I bagged it up and sent it to Salvation Army, gave it to Salvation Army, just gave it away. I let them have that. My TV, my stereo system, a good friend of mine, I gave him a really good deal. He was looking for a TV and a stereo for his, in his bedroom, and I hooked him up with that. I gave him a good deal. I'm trying to think of what else. It was just, like I said, just a lot of household items. You know, that's the thing. You got to look at these things and say, how do I get rid of it? How am I going to get rid of this stuff? Especially if you have a lot of stuff. And now that brings me to the house. You know what? Here's the thing. When I was working, like I said, I was making good money. I was, you know, overtime as much as you want. You set your own paycheck. You know, we call it the candy factory because you can just work and work and work and buy as much and get as much as you wanted. Never once missed a mortgage payment, never once missed a car payment, never once missed a credit, never once missed any payment in my entire life. So I had the house. I had somebody come out and praise it. I happened to be one of those that bought a house when they were handing them out left and right, overpricing houses, saying, okay, here's your house. If it's worth only 150, we're going to say it's worth 185, 200,000. We're going to give you a low interest rate. You can afford it. I happen to fall under that category. You know, did I plan on getting hurt at work? No, nobody plans to get hurt ever in life. And you know what? When you do get hurt and something happens, it's a life-changing situation. So I had the house, and I was making payments on it. And I'm like, you know what? This house is killing me. You know, I can't sell it because it's not worth what I still owe on it. So I went to the attorney. I said, listen, I said, what do I do? Here's what I'm doing. Here's the situation. He said, well, you can do two things. He said, you can rent it out. And here's the thing. You know what? I did rent it out when I was over here for 6 months to somebody, a friend's son and his family. And when I came back, I mean, they destroyed stuff and wrecked stuff. And, you know, I wound up spending money to fix things. And it was a whole mess. And I didn't want to go through that again. I didn't want to have this house, rent it out, worry about, you know, something happening, something getting destroyed, something major happen, a tree fall on it, somebody get hurt, somebody get killed, comes back to me. I'm like, I don't want this house. And he told me, he said, the only other option you have is to give it back to the bank, foreclose on it, and be done with it. He goes, these are situations like this happen. Now, you know, there might be people out there that are going to judge me and say, oh, you know, you could have done this and could have done that, but you know what? You walk a mile in my shoes and then we'll talk. So I said, you know what? Let's do this. So that's what I did. I mean, I foreclosed on it. Like I said, I owed more than what it was worth. And I didn't want to rent it out. I didn't want to have to deal with that. I wanted to be free of every financial burden I had in the States. I mean, you got people that they still own a house in the States and they travel from the Philippines to the States. Good for you. You know, if your house is paid off and you can afford to do that, good for you, more power to you. I couldn't do that. So that's how that worked out with the house. The car I had a Mitsubishi Endeavor, great car, SUV. My sister-in-law at the time, her car she was driving was pretty much falling apart, and I said, listen, I said, I owe this much on it. It wasn't much. I said, you guys want to pay me off or pay the loan off, the car's yours. And they got a good deal. They got an excellent deal on it. She drives it today. She loves it. And so that's what I did with the car. But you know what? Here's the thing. When you make your mind up to make that move here to the Philippines, you know, to me there was no looking back. You know, I made my mind up and I said, I'm making the move. I will do what I have to do. I will sell what I have to sell. I will get rid of what we have to get rid of, so I don't have to worry about anything here in the States. I don't owe a penny to anybody. I don't owe a penny to the bank. I don't owe a penny to a car payment. I don't owe a penny to any credit cards. They were all paid off. I didn't owe a penny. And coming here to the Philippines, knowing that, you know, it helps. I didn't know child support, you know. Did I pay child support? That's another story. I will tell you about that sometime. But yes, I paid child support for years on my children. Paid 100%, never missed a penny of paying child support. Didn't know the IRS anything. Didn't know nobody anything. And coming over here, having that peace of mind really helped a lot. It was tough decisions along the way. Trust me, they weren't easy decisions. But I did it, and I'm here. You know, like I say, you know, to each their own. To each their own, how you get here and what you do in the process of getting here, you know, that's on you. But this is my story, and I have no regrets. I'm happy. What did I come here with? What did we come here with? Lut and I came here with we had each 2 bags for underneath the airplane, 1 carry-on. So we had four bags for under the plane, and her and I had each a carry-on, and we had 3 buy-in boxes being shipped over here, and that was it. That was it. I left some winter clothes at my parents' house. I said, because if I have to come back in the winter time, gotta have a jacket, I gotta have you know, some warm clothes. But that's it. I mean, our suitcases were packed with clothes. Buy-in boxes were packed with like just small things. You know, Lut wanted the curtains, so we brought the curtains. Just a few little knickknacks that her and I had accumulated, or that were given to us as a wedding present. Just small little things like that. Some tools, I brought some tools over in the buy-in box. But yeah, that was it. I mean, sold everything. And like I said, I mean, I had Christmas displays. I had, you know, artificial trees. I had years of just accumulating stuff. When we left the house, there was a mattress on the living room floor because we needed somewhere to sleep, and we had sold off all our bed furniture and everything like that. We had some dirty laundry that we had taken to my mom's house to do some laundry before we left. Few items up in the cupboards. There was even a few things up in the garage attic that I just couldn't sell. I mean, it was just junk, you know what I mean? Couldn't even give it away. But yeah, I mean, that's how I did it. Everybody does it differently. I mean, some people take years to sell off things, and years to, you know, decide, okay, yeah, you know, they're leaning towards wanting to come here, but things are holding them back. But I say the key thing to moving here when it comes to selling things and getting rid of things. Look at them as objects. Don't look at them as memories, because you look at them as memories, you're not going to get rid of them. You'll have 50 balikbayan boxes being shipped over here. The memories are always up here, and no one can take that from you, and it can't be erased from you. But that's my story, and thought I'd share it with you guys.